Hiya, it's Anya Divine here. Welcome, thank you for joining me, and especially if you're new here, you're very welcome. I'm an art teacher and a painter, and this is my living room. I'm still in the living room. I keep talking about going out to the studio now that the sun is shining out there and it's springtime. However, all my stuff is still in here, and actually I had some oil paint I put out yesterday, and I found this canvas that I just thought I'll just finish the paint off here and then I'll go to the studio for the next video. I usually do a video most days. It depends, like sometimes it might be weeks before I do another one, but at the moment I'm on a good roll with fairly regularly tuning in, and thanks very much for being out there, and having this conversation is lovely. It feeds my soul. I appreciate it, so thanks. And I enjoy this, it's good medicine, really. So I've just got the daisies again. I call them daisies because it's easier. I think they're chrysanthemums, but it's just simpler to say daisies, so I'm going to call them daisies. And they're in this blue jug, and now if you tuned in the last few days, you'll know I've painted them already on yellow paper. There's another video. Recently there's 3 videos of me painting these, but today it's just going to be one. We'll see. I mightn't finish it. But I just wanted to use some of the paint up, and I'm going to turn the camera down now so that you can see what I'm up to. You might not be able to see the flowers fully, but there they are. This is just, I had it out for my breakfast there. The smell of this is lovely. It's a freesia. It was one that cracked off in the bouquet, so I just put it into the glass to keep it alive for a while. And it's a gorgeous smell. But now all I can smell really is turpentine. I keep saying I must buy some zest it, but until I do, the smell of turps is filling the living room. Right, so I've got cerulean blue here, and I thought, look, I'll just use the colours that are out, and I may need to put out a few more. Now, if I had a viewfinder, I could see that actually the flowers will probably extend beyond the page if I do the pot the size that it is. I'm just considering whether to do that. Yeah. Or do I want to just do daisies and have them like that? Daisies on their own. No, I think I want to have the roundness of the pot. It looks almost like a circular thing, that pot. So I'm starting with oil paint, which is kind of unusual for me. I usually like to do an underpainting of acrylic so that I've got something that'll be static that I can respond to in the oil layer. But it's nice too sometimes just to begin and end with oil. So this is cerulean blue, and it's fairly well watered down. So I'll just give a value to each thing. I might put some cadmium yellow into that colour now straight away and get something that might represent the centre of the flowers. So I'll make my way as quickly as I can to create order and find out the position of things in relationship to each other. And I'm just finding the position of those 3 centres of the flowers. And you could see I was moving it around even there already. As soon as I put it down, I kind of recognised that it needed to be moved, and that's fine. It feels to me like it's a good thing to do, to work it out on the paper, on the canvas. Okay, so that's those 3. And with my eyes half closed now, there are things I could do. Yes, I want to make a greyish colour for the background, so I'm going to mix some alizarin crimson with ultramarine blue, and I think that'll be kind of a purplish colour, and then I'm going to put some lemon yellow into it. So I'm just going to try and make myself a grey. Do somewhere else to mix. Aware that you can't really see what colour I'm mixing now, but once it's on here you'll see it anyway. It's just something neutral for the background to meet the white of the daisies. And because the canvas is itself white, I feel like the least labour intensive way of explaining the daisies is to paint the background up to meet them. And I'm into labour and I'm into low labour, low intensity of labour, if that's the right phrase. I don't know. You know what I mean. I'm into doing less where possible. I think it's a human, I think it's a natural it's a natural thing for us human beings to kind of take the line of least resistance mostly, so we may as well use it as a strength. Alright, so I'm just painting the background with my eyes half closed now. I've kind of given it maybe a bit more colour than it needs, so maybe put a touch more green into that, as it's kind of a red colour. I think it's a reddish grey. I think green being the opposite of red is probably a good idea to cancel out the warmth. So put an ultramarine blue and some lemon yellow into that. And if I wanted to lighten it, I could always put a bit of white in. Or I'm doing a video, Lily. I'm just doing a video here. You're about to leave.
Feeling her problematic self.
What's happened?
Has decided that she wants one of my tops to wear.
Oh.
So I need to find it because I don't know what it is. And do you know what it is? It's like the card.
What one?
It's not in there.
The card. Oh, the black cardie. The kind of the black furry
one.
one.
I got for, no, that's in my room. It's like not furry.
Is it that one over there? Is that a cardigan? No.
It's not a cardigan one.
Alright.
It's got the one that I bought for school.
Lily, you know what, love? I haven't seen a lot of your clothes at all now recently.
I've not seen it in ages, and she's like,
yeah. Best of luck with that. I mean, you could look in the laundry basket outside your bedroom door, like your one. So I'm still painting the background up to meet, and as I move around there, I notice that it kind of gets a bit yellowish. You know, when I half close my eyes, the background has a slight yellowish tint to it, not that yellow. So the opposite of yellow would be purple. So if I put some purple into that, it'll cancel out the yellow being too dramatic. Because it's really just various shades of grey that I'm noticing coming up to meet the white of the flowers. And various shades of grey. Let me see now. So we've got the centre, so that's that flower there. And then there's a shadow in here to create a difference between those two flowers. And then there's a there. I got up early this morning to chat to my friend from New Zealand. Well, actually that wasn't the reason I got up early. I was up 2 hours before that. But somehow I got up really early, yeah. And I was full of the joys, like, so I did my yoga, meditation and all that. And what else did I do? Oh yeah, I chatted with her. And then took Erin to work. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you all of that is because I'm trying to find my way here now. Hang on. There. So that's background there. I've been needing to use the white paint to explain the daisies as well, of course, but this is just using the white of the background as a benefit first to create a bit of order. So I'm saying all of that because I now want to go to sleep. I'm feeling quite tired now, so I thought I'd have a bath. Rather than go to sleep, I just thought I'd have a relaxing bath. It's not often I feel like I can fully give myself permission to have a bath and relax. Anything belonging to you, I would have put it into the drawer under your bed, the middle one. It's a test to my memory. Okay. Anyway, that's all right. That's all right. And now, what about this tabletop? I wonder will I go with? Yeah, I'll start with the purplish colour anyway. It seems to be generally purplish. I don't know what colour that's called. I think that is maybe called purple. That oil paint, that colour. But you probably could get it by mixing ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson together. I quite like the stripes. And it might be a nice thing to do some of them a little bit more thickly eventually, but for now I just want to indicate them with these thin light washes of paint. Get most of the colours established. I'm using the same brush all the time, so I keep washing it out really well so it doesn't get so the colours stay clean. So this is a mix now of cadmium red and lemon yellow in order to make the orange that I'm seeing here. There's quite a few different. I'm not going to get too bogged down in the detail of the stripes, just to kind of, with my eyes half closed, get a feel for the warm and cool areas and where the shadow is. It looks to me like there's a kind of a shadow hereish that helps to outline the shape of the jug as well. The shadow is kind of purple, and then there's a bluish colour over here on the lighter side. Really, the blue of the jug is a little bit more dominant and darker, excuse me, than the blue of the tabletop there. That's lighter. So I could do with taking off that. Just wipe it off. And even, you know, my brush was a little bit dirty there when I was explaining that, but I think it's, again, I think it'll be okay. I might bring you a bit closer so you can see a wee bit more closely what's happening. I have to get a new gooseneck because it's collapsing a little bit. It's a wee bit higher up, I think. Yeah, that's okay, isn't it? Okay. So I'll just carry on. So kind of orange, some oranges, some purplish colours. I really like that there's a pattern of some sort. And then the ultramarine blue is there as well. It features here, I think. Goes all the way up and through out the other side of the jug.
Goodbye.
See you, love. Have a good day. Might be time to inject a bit of white. Yes, he's wondering what's going on there. No. Yeah, so the white is going to overlap the jug and it's overlapping the background. Just there. And before going any further with, well, no, I will do a wee bit more white because I've got quite a lot in the brush there, and it might be useful to just establish two more places where there's the white is extending into the dark of the background and it's needing a bit more clarity. I think up here there was also a place where the background came over a bit further than I wanted it to. Okay. What am I doing now? So I want to do the darks in between the flowers. Oh, here's Lily coming back again. Must have missed the bus. So there's a really deep dark tone here where the petals stop and the petals of the other flower start. And the same here, there's a little triangle. Missed the bus, Lil? And then there's another dark here.
Bus is in 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. And then there's another bit of dark there. This is actually probably the very darkest. It's probably the very darkest colour in the whole thing. Do you not want to sort to change them for something more comfy? This is more of a green dark back here.
I think you're better at ping pong than I am, Tim.
Lily.
Lily, you got blue paint on your chin.
Okay. And then there's some more dark right here. And back here too. Let's put a bit more water into that, not water, tarps. This is an old sheet that I've got on the table because the stripes are my favourite towel from Habitat and I don't want to get oil paint on it. It's quite a nice pattern, isn't it? I like it. The shadow underneath some petals as well. Like with my eyes half closed now, I'm starting to notice not only the very darkest bits, I'm still working on those, but there's bits that are coming in that are just a bit more muted because they're the petals of the daisy that aren't catching the light. So I'm just going to make those kind of a bluish shadow colour. And I'm judging the shape of those as best I can. So the dark petals act as and they're quite helpful too to outline the brighter ones. Keep having to half close my eyes to really see which ones are in shadow. There's one over here.
Oh, that stinks.
I know. This is the last day of this in here now. So I've made it a blue shadow because I don't want it to read as the same as the grey of the background.
Where's your mama gone? Where's your mama gone?
And of course the centre is going to be made smaller. So what I'm doing here is painting where the white. Do you want to be seen there?
I'm just looking.
Where the white is coming up to meet the green, and I'll later put more white on there so that it's not so grey, because while it's not the brightest flower, it's not the darkest either. It would be nice to say hello, Lily. Right, it's actually my dad's birthday today, so I'm going to dedicate this video to Frank. And there's a video of me painting my dad. If you look up on your Divine Painting Dad on YouTube, you'll find a couple of videos of me painting him last year. Was it last year, Lily, or the year? I think it was the year before. What was I going to do? Just going to continue painting some of these darker petals. And then I'll maybe lift out some of the blue if I can. It's not really lifting out for me though, so I probably just need to paint white daisy over it there. Dry off the turbs so that it's a dry space to work over. Okay, what am I doing now again? I think I could do with putting some kind of a beigey colour into the towel as well. It's not only bright colours there, there's also some lighter shades. And again, half closing my eyes, you can see some of those. So the thicker lines are helpful for the colours that are that bit lighter. It's helpful to paint them a bit more thickly, I find. And using thinner paint for the darker colours. Some light blues. It's really like there's a shadow here, I think. So I don't want to make the colours all bright. Okay. All right, see ya. Bye. That's Lily going away. Don't you go away now because I'm still painting.
See ya.
See you, Lily. Bye. Have a nice time. Yeah, and actually where the daisies meet the jug, there's a shed of cast, of course. So I'm going to paint that down here before painting in the rest of the daisy petals. That seems to be lower than I planned. I suppose actually, let's see, it might be better for me to do the whites so that I can clearly see where the flower is. Yes, there's a petal extending again beyond the edge of the vase, beyond the edge of the jug, I should say. There. Gosh, so the centre of the flower would be really there. Bring it down quite a bit from where I placed it first. So it's all changed. I think it's okay though. That's the centre, that one. The centre of the other one will be about there. And then that one is okay where it is. So here will be, greyish white petals. Let them mix with the colour that's already on there. And then they come down quite far on that side as well. Now I'm half closing my eyes. I'm actually making them probably a wee bit brighter. Well, no, by the time they mix in with the blue of the jug, they're made more subdued anyway. I can bring back the brightness in. I just want to find to place them. To place the general set of petals. The inside bowl of the flower there is a bit darker. The one that's facing out that side. As I look more at them, they're not really that bright. I don't know if maybe the light has faded a little since I've started, but I'm starting to notice a lot more tonal variations than I had originally. And I can see now that there's only a very few of them that are really the luminous white that comes straight from the tube. So I think what I'm doing just now is hopefully going to provide a good foil for those brighter ones once I just establish the mid-tone greyish colour that I'm seeing in the petals just now. Eyes half closed. Every time I look up, my eyes are half closed so that I'm eliminating any unnecessary detail and just painting in the shapes of the colours that I'm seeing. And this includes going back to look at the background colour and establish that more clearly too, where the position of it would be. There's a channel in there. And Maisie's sitting back there now, so she's the pinkish shape. It's okay. She is kind of pink because she rolled around in some of her red chalk the other day. All right. It's going to meet a friend in the woods later on, so I actually want to give time for the bath first. I just need to make sure that I'm not lingering over this for too long. Which is, it's a good thing anyway, not to linger over anything for too long and become, like I know myself, I've found places before in my life where I've just become stuck rigid in a thing because I want to do it a certain way and get it done right. It has to be perfect. You know, the saying, it was the French painter Delacroix who said, a apparently, who said, he who seeks perfection in everything achieves it in nothing. And I feel like I can see the wisdom in that, alright, that kind of attitude of desperately seeking perfection and having, in a way, a rigid idea of that means that no flow can really enter in then, or nothing unexpected. And the other quote I love is Paul Clee's, "Make chance essential." And I think when you're seeking perfection, there's very little chance of chance coming in, because it's a difficult place. When you're seeking perfection, you're not so open to risk taking, I don't think, and then maybe not so open to those happy accidents that can occur. Okay, I'm just deepening the tone as the jug comes up to meet the flowers there. Really seems like a circle to me, but of course it's not really a circle, but it reads as a circle today, just where I'm looking from. I'm setting the scene so that hopefully what I need to do then is just the lights. All that I need to do to bring it together will be to introduce the lighter tones. And the flowers mostly. I suppose I kind of err on the side of making things a little bit darker in the background so that it'll serve as a foil for the brightness of the flowers. And I think that I'm unapologetic about making the flowers bright, because I feel like they deserve this bright. They are bright. They are luminous and gorgeous, and I think it's hard enough to... It's difficult to replicate that luminosity the flowers have, that aliveness. And so anything that allows us to make them shine more is to be welcomed, including deepening the tone behind them. Maybe a touch more than it is, actually. So that's the round table there behind. And there it is extending over there too, but it's even darker, the background on this side. A bit more. What I'm doing is mixing the dark brown, which is it's either Van Dyke brown or raw umber, that I'm mixing with the ultramarine blue there to give a really good sharp contrast to the white of the petal that's there. Ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown will give you a good dark shade. Okay. And it might be useful for me to re-establish again the darks, because where I put them earlier didn't sit with the change in the position of that flower. So I need to re-establish the darks in the area of the flowers as well, really, now that I've relocated some of them. So there's one here, there's a triangle of dark there, and there's a triangle of dark there, there's a little triangle of dark here, and then down here, and there's a big area of dark right here, and then a bit there too. But this is actually the jug, so it should be a different dark, really. But a cerulean blue into that dark would help, I think, to make it read as jug rather than part of the flowers. And then I'll go back to the dark of the blue, ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown again to make more of the shadows that I saw earlier. So there's shadow there, shadow here. And that's really could do with being deepened a touch more to that background. And then there's the spaces between those two flowers, which is okay. Positions were okay there, I think. You know, there's something actually quite satisfying about the level of focus needed placing all of these things. It's quite exciting, really, and takes the attention. The attention goes to those shapes and colours, and it's the act of placing them down, the combination, I think, of seeing, responding, and creating something that'll make that manifest on the canvas. All of that together, to me, spells attention, and mindfulness, I suppose, is what it is. That quality of attention that has a focus to it. That's in a way concentrated, immovable, something immovable about it, maybe. Don't know if that's it. But whatever it is, anyway, it allows for a little bit of stillness and peace to come in, even in the act of beavering away. The purpose is to create what it is that I'm seeing, and so I'm focusing on that. And like David Hockney said, already planning my next move as I'm painting down this one. So there isn't any lingering over what's, there's no ruminating involved. And every so often it's important to tune into the body too and see that you're not crippled, that you're not kind of contorting yourself into a position that's going to cause issues later on. Because sometimes the level of focus is such that you might forget your physical body, and I think that's an important thing to remember. Well, I don't think, I feel sure it is an important thing to keep a radar up for the tension, any tension that might arise there. And like even the talking is kind of part of it, because that too is reflective of the work I'm actually doing here. So it feels like it's possible to carry on doing the task in hand while chatting, and not only possible but maybe even preferable, because there's again no room for any critical mind talk to enter in, any ruminating to begin. I wonder whether any physical activity contains within it that nugget of gold, which is that you're not, physically moving the body means, I think, that you're not inclined so much to mind talk then. And I remember reading in Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now about people who can find peace only maybe through scaling the north face of the Eiger, doing things that are really quite critically, you have to be attentive in order to survive. And that might be one of the only ways that state of calm was achieved, because the person was in a life or death situation and had to be mindful. I guess we all have things like that we... Well, painting is kind of that for me, It's been more beneficial to my mental well-being, I think, than that was my purpose. And it's maybe, I was going to say then, to my pocket, but I am actually earning a living from this. And the more I tend to my mental well-being and see it as a way of maintaining a equilibrium and a pretty peaceful state in myself, the more I see the creative act as that, it seems that there's plenty, from that place comes practical help too. It's when I start to try and please something other, or have another motive, that it gets complicated. It's like my friend said, most things really are simple. Yeah, so more and more I feel like that is a noble enough intention to have around the creative act, to noble, but just to for its own sake, to be in the process and not to have, like the perfection thing, not to have a riveted desired outcome before starting, but to just honour the process and see what unfolds on its own. And I think once there's attention, a richness of attention, then something will unfold that's fresh and new, possibly. And I find myself even just right now doing the thing of like windscreen wipers on top speed, moving from the flowers to the page and back again. And that's just like quite a pleasing space to be in, you know, looking, observing, painting down what it is that reveals itself, looking again and seeing what next is unfolding. And if at any point you kind of feel a bit stuck and not sure what to do, I would just then half close my eyes and see if there's any lights and darks that I'm missing, the significant lights and darks that maybe I'm not capturing because I'm on a roll or something, you know. So it is worth stepping back to and pausing, building in a pause. You'll kind of get the hang of it. I think the thing is, like, there's momentum, and each of us has our own rhythm and flow, and there's like sometimes a momentum that you don't want to disturb by stopping, and other times it feels very necessary because you can feel that thing, like a dog chasing a scent. I've often said it like that, you know, that, or a dog chasing sheep, like Maisie, you know, when she gets a hold of something, just the notion that you know, that feeling of relentlessness about it, and as soon as there's a scent of that comes up, I do my best to notice it. It's like a bad smell, and I can tell that I'm getting stuck in something that actually maybe isn't very wholesome, and maybe then I could do with stepping back. And that's where I find that there's wisdom in this process of creativity that could be applied to life. And I'm grateful for that, because I'm learning how to live maybe a little bit more in harmony through the practice of being creative. I don't want to speak too soon, but it feels like good medicine, and you know, it feels as though there are lessons to be learned through these simple things that could be applied to life. I'm sure there was a program, wasn't there, years ago, where the priest used to say, I don't know if it was even if it was like a satire, or if it was genuine, but I think there was maybe a priest speaking about various different things, and then he would end up, whatever the thing he was speaking about, say it was boats, he might say, sailing is a lot like life. I don't know if you remember that now, but everything was compared, like everything was made into a metaphor for living. And you know, in fairness, not a bad thing really, because I suppose it's all condensed versions of coping with this thing of being human. Right. So I'm motoring around here, and again remembering now and then to really half close my eyes and see, are there any ones that I'm missing? Any darks that I'm making light, any lights that I'm making dark? Trying to keep with what I'm noticing, like jigsaw pieces fitting into one another. There's a petal there coming up to meet the shadow. Okay. And then there's most of these are greyish, but there's an edge. Yeah, there's an edge there that's a bit brighter. And then there's a shadow, there's a petal underneath that that's a triangle of white too. Just give it a bit more oomph, more paint. And that one that I painted earlier, could do with another layer of paint on it. Okay, so we're getting there with it. And as I look at it in general, maybe over here could do with a bit more white too. I was going to say, as I look at it in general, I'm noticing that the tabletop could do possibly with some more contrast of light and dark. Maybe I could bring some of this, even the white, into places on the left side of the tabletop. It's not really a light blue, it's more a beigey colour that's there. But it's helpful, I think, for this side to be painted a little bit more thickly, seeing as the light does seem to be falling a bit more on this side than over there. And so although this isn't exactly a replica of the towel. It does. I am looking at it and responding each time I put a colour down, so it feels that in general I'm getting a feel for the colours that are there, without being. It's a bit like flowers. It's not a botanical illustration. This isn't a textile, a detailed study of this textile. It's more to capture a feeling of the essence of it, I suppose, and just the kind of like insinuating it maybe, or something like that, and creating too a feeling of the shadow that's cast by the jug onto the tabletop there. So with my eyes half closed, noticing that really there's a lot less colour here than here. And the other thing I'm noticing is that there's some really dark triangles of jug coming up to meet some of the lights on the flowers there. When I had that colour in the brush, I thought that might work. It's ultramarine blue now mostly that I've got on the brush. I think it's okay. It's funny, the thing with the brush too is that the quality of the mark changes according to which direction the brush is pulled in. Like sideways, it doesn't have so much of a shine there, I notice. Whereas going up and down, the way it changes. It's good to notice that and use it in your favour. Right, I think this could be given a bit more clarity. So just some ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown to create a kind of a grey that I could use to describe some parts of this flower. Back of it there. And now the white ones that are sitting in front. I try to make the brush marks as economic as I can. Maybe like a single move I feel is more powerful than 5 or 6 different ones generally. So if possible, to try and leave it alone when I put down a mark best I can. Some of the tips of those ones, even in the background, have a bit more light. And then there's a general shadow there. It's less a line and more a shape. That's in part outlined by a lovely bright petal coming from this flower here. And this one. I'd say I might stop fairly soon. Although there are some lovely luminous petals hitting, just touching into the background there. 1, 2, and the third one higher. And here as well, there's one. Kind of like that, I think. Darker coming up to meet those. The background could be darker. I didn't have any green out, so I'm needing to make a green to mix with the red in order to because the opposite colour on the colour wheel, green is opposite red, and when you mix opposites together they cancel each other out, or if you lay them beside each other they excite each other, like in the Constable's Haywain, for example. That flash of the red of the haywain in the midst of all that green. That's quite exciting. Whereas when you mix red and green together, like I've done here, they've cancelled each other out a little and created a greyish colour. And I made the green by mixing ultramarine blue and some lemon yellow together. So it's ultramarine blue, lemon yellow, and alizarin crimson is the mix of those three. It's a bit more green in this mix now, but I think it'll be okay. Just trying to define what is happening at the edge where the background meets the brightest petals there. And of course I'm picking up some white, but it's okay. I've made the background colour dark enough that the white is diluting it just a little bit. And this is background here as well, and I think I want to make that a little bit closer to the colour that's up there, just because the colour of the background down here was maybe too similar to the grey I was using in the daisies themselves. It kind of still is, so a touch of the greenish colour might work there. Oh, I keep picking up that white by mistake. And I'd say I might be done with this, you know. And I just re-emphasize some of the lights at the front there, especially that nice blue. Maisie's belly is making funny noises there. She had a good walk with me there. We went out for a couple of hours. We met maybe an hour and a half. We met another dog, and I let her off her lead for a while. She's good when she plays with another dog. She'll hang around and she doesn't go all manic or anything. It's only when she's on her own near a river or in a massive open space that she goes a bit wild, and then it's hard to get her back on the lead sometimes. But she was really good today, and I'm grateful for that. They say small blessings, but that wasn't a small blessing actually. It was a massive blessing. She got some exercise that meant, you know, I was able to really let her off the lead, for her to really just have a run, because I feel it's bad for Maisie with her being such a vigorous, you know, she's an amazing runner, and she loves socializing with other dogs, so it was really nice to meet a dog that was up for having a play in the field. And then she came back on the lead, no bother. So more of that, please. See, I'm just lightening up this side of the jug a touch. It's quite more than a touch though, isn't it? Maybe subdue it another little bit again. And I'm bringing the blue and brown mix again, the ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown mix again, to rise up towards the shadows there. Cast by the flowers onto the jug. Maybe just some more blue, more colour. And less colour around the other side. Maybe with the thinner paint I can do that. just carrying on for, it seems to be kind of a good time to stop. A good time to stop, I would say. What I could do is just hold that up instead of taking you closer to it. I'll bring it closer to you. And I'm going to bring you closer to it in a second as well, because I want to show you my viewpoint as well. Oh yeah, Lily said I had blue paint on my chin. Excuse me. So this is Anya Divine. Thank you for being in touch. Oh my goodness, 50 minutes. Wow. It's a little painting for 50 minutes. But it felt nice to do that again, to do the daisies before I evacuate the living room. And I'd say there's a small chance I'll touch it up a touch more, but I think that's pretty much what I wanted to do today. Yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll go off now and have my bath and wash off my paint. And you have a lovely evening. So I'm going to take this off, show you the painting a bit more closely. Am I?